everyone. Welcome to the Instant Payments Podcast. I'm your host, Tal Clark. I'm the CEO of Instant Financial, a fintech company that modernizes payments and payroll for hourly workers and their employers. I've worked in the payments industry for 30 years at companies like Fiserv and Money Network, and I'm glad you're tuning in today. If you like what you hear, please do us a favor and subscribe, leave a review, or suggest a future guest for us to talk to. This podcast features industry leaders to discuss some of their challenges and the technologies they've used to improve their workplace and the lives of their workforce. Today's guest has truly seen the restaurant business from every angle, from being in the kitchen to being in the boardroom, and even on Wall Street. Kep Sweeney is the CEO of PDQ Restaurants, which stands for People Dedicated to Quality. With more than 30 years of experience in the restaurant industry, Kep has worn just about every hat you can imagine, from Wall Street analysts covering the restaurant sector to being an executive chef in some of the nation's finest restaurants, to executive roles leading financial turnarounds and restructuring some of the nation's largest fast casual brands. He's also the author of The New Restaurant Entrepreneur and has been featured as an expert commentator on major outlets. Kep, welcome to the show. Where are you joining us from today, and how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in Tampa. I live in Tampa at the headquarters of PDQ.
Super. Great spot to be. I'm in Pensacola. We're getting a little bit of cool
Sure.
weather up here
Yeah.
for a change. Cool being 75.
Yeah. It's getting better.
So moving
Yeah.
forward a little bit. Well, look, I gave a little bit of your background in the intro, but would love to sort of hear in your own words your journey, if you don't mind. Sort of your journey from when you got in the restaurant industry to sort of where you are today, and then we can pick it up from there.
I started off in kitchens, and then I was kind of my big break after college was Jeremiah Tower, who had Stars, and he was a legend at that time, and he really created the foundation for new American cuisine. He was on a book tour, and I followed him to a number of places and would talk to him after, and I said I'd like to work there, and I said that he didn't respond. I sent a letter saying, I'm moving to San Francisco. I have no job and I have no money, and my intention is to work at Stars. And I did it. And after 3 interviews, I got the right to peel garlic there. Peel garlic and peel tomatoes. So
Wow.
it was, yeah, it was great though. It was great to be in that environment. And then I was able to kind of move through kitchens, and I did well. I got an award from Julia Child. Went to the Cordon Bleu in London, and I was executive chef of 21 Federal. That was, it was interesting though, because during that time I was building with a friend out of San Francisco software for food cost management. And I always had like a bias on that side of the business, on the business side of the business side of the restaurant industry. So I liked working over on that side. I think I was better suited for it than as a chef. I like being a chef as a manager, but I see some of the things out there and some of these people, and I'm really amazed in how they think of that. And I don't know that was
Yeah.
me. So I'm glad where I am.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. So when did you, what year did you make the transition from executive chef, I guess, to more on the business
I
side?
went to MBA school at University of North Carolina, and then I was hired as a restaurant analyst at Solomon Brothers on Wall Street.
Okay.
So that was the
Okay.
transition, and that got me, into the analytics side, modeling side of the industry.
Well, that's really interesting. And for those that don't know, and I don't know as much detail in that area, so as a Wall Street analyst in the restaurant space, really what was your focus as far as the type businesses you were focused on, and then I guess some of the data you were focused on as well? What was always interesting to you and important as an analyst? You're okay. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you now. The headphones went out. So yeah, as an
Okay.
analyst, we had a universe of 30 stocks, and we covered seven. And those were companies like McDonald's and Burger King at that time, Cheesecake Factory, P.F. Chang's, and Outback, which is that I covered, and I got to have Asham and Chris Sullivan from Outback in the 90s when they were going public at Solomon Brothers. And then today I work for Bob Basham. He's the chairman of PDQ. So I thought that was, I
Yeah.
know a lot about the strategies and what really worked for him at Outback. So I think there's been some kinship, and it's been helpful understanding those the things that made him so successful early on.
Well, that's super. Well, and tell us what a few of those things were. That would be great to know and great to share, I think. What were some things that stood out to you about what they did or what they were doing at the time that made them so
Well,
successful?
Outback had a number of strategies. One is that they just do dinner. And they focused on dinner only because they felt that they could only operate dinner successfully because they can't have twice the staff do a great lunch and a great dinner. And they built it around the team. They also had the kitchen area, the back area of the house, at over 50% of the business. So that was another strategy that they employed. They had a number of them that were really, really interesting. And Bob has let's say, a bias towards the people. So in single
Okay.
strategy, it somehow ties to the employee. And at PDQ, I think that, and I hope Bob thinks too, that we've been able to take care that we have like a 85 to 95% turnover rate, where the industry has 170%. And we never lose like the top people in the units. So I think that
Okay.
that's it. We've been able to provide a comp plan and a different positions that have been able to allow people to flourish.
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, and so you were there for at you worked as an analyst for a bit. When did you make the transition from being an analyst into what you're doing today? And I guess talk a little bit about what you do today and how you got involved with PDQ.
Well, I got involved with PDQ. I was at CR3 and was working in restructuring, which is most of my life. And so it's, if a company gets kind of behind, gets in trouble, they may bring someone like me in to take a 30,000-foot view and then maybe have a deep dive where they can surgically assist the company. And that's what I was brought in to do here originally. And it's interesting that the team here was a team that could have easily worked with us at CR3 or at Solomon Brothers. That a lot of times I go into companies and they say, we're very fortunate, we have a great team. And this was an amazing experience for me because it was really true at the highest level. That I've gotten to work with some very, very smart people with great backgrounds. And what's most interesting is the range. And I think that a lot of people forget that there was a CEO in the industry I had breakfast with a number of years ago, and he said, I'm so sick of people coming to me saying they have 20 years experience, and it's the same experience. And I think that a lot of the way that we do COGS was something that I worked out doing the workout of a steel manufacturing company in Louisiana, or the way that we attacked a cosmetic company in Los Angeles. So I think that there's got to the different range there that's interesting that you could bring to this deal. It doesn't have to be chicken. It doesn't have to be burgers and how it relates to chicken. It could be, a lot of the stuff is running a company called Alert Nest that became part of Sinclair Broadcast Group. That
Okay.
was very, very helpful in helping me understand the way that people look at our site and how we can put spiders on the sites and things like that.
Okay. I got you. That's good. We'll talk a little bit more about, we talked about how you arrived at PDQ and what your role is there. Tell us just about PDQ. Tell us about, for people that aren't familiar with the brand or the restaurant or the concept, tell us a little bit about what PDQ is all about.
I think that there's PDQ is very unique in the amount of work that it goes to is not equivalent to a QSR restaurant. When I talk about like buttermilk marinating the tenders and then double breading the tenders, and then we have these short hold times. We have very tight specs on the tenders. I think that this is, and again, this is one of the things that made Outback very, very successful, is that focus on not overall quality, but one tender at a time quality. So we've been able to do that, and I think that you get a very good food product. In
Well, that's great. That's great. And how many locations is PDQ today?
50. And then there's not including airports and arenas.
Okay. Well, good. Where is the business today? I mean, I know you've been there. How long have you been at PDQ,
5 years.
Kep? And how would you describe the business today and the next couple of years? What are the goals and path forward?
You know, that's we are working on that right now, and so there's a lot up in the air. So I probably wouldn't be able to speak to that at the moment, but there's it's very exciting, and we're working through it, and there's there's a lot of activity where we have a very active board, and they're very active with senior management. So there may be 4 or 5 interactions in a day that may include a 45-minute meeting as well. So it's there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of interesting opportunity today.
All right. Well, that's great. And I know that PDQ stands for People Dedicated to Quality. We mentioned that when we started. How is that represented in the environment? What is your focus in regards to assuring that your employees are dedicated to quality and making sure they're in a good position to do that? What is some of the your focus from a personnel perspective?
Well, I think that it starts, again, it is a hybrid of the Outback model, but when we go to bed, that for all intents and purposes, the owner locks the door. So we have 50 partners out there, and what we try to do is be supportive of those partners. And the partners have, they run the units, they have a partnership deal, and they have a certain compensation plan that would encourage them to run that better than we could. So we get a lot of pressure from them looking for new software, new items, problems to solve, and we work very closely with the units that way. So it's not a franchise at all. I mean, these are company-owned units, but we have people in that are presidents of those units.
Got you. And that is very similar to the Outback model. Is that yeah, that's what you're referencing. Okay. Is that also similar to maybe the Chick-fil-A model?
I think it is. I don't know a lot about it. A few years ago, that I was in a discussion. I'm trying to remember, but I think it is similar, where they will have one manager, and maybe they could manage 2 stores eventually, is my understanding. But it's P.F. Chang had a model like this for a while, and they may still. But I think it's very effective in a way that all incentives are aligned. And look, we can push them and they can push us. And I think that that's a very, very healthy way, because they're at the customer level. They're talking to the unit level employees, and they are giving us great feedback through, I need this. My employees need that. The customers are requesting something. So we get great feedback, but in a way that they've got skin in the game. They're not just relaying a comment a customer said. They're relaying something that could build their business.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, and I can imagine they enjoy working there because of that. Let's talk just briefly about the headwinds that we're seeing in some cases in the restaurant industry today, maybe specifically for you in the QSR space. Um, with your analyst background, I'd love to hear just a little bit of a commentary on where do you think we are in the restaurant space, specifically the QSR space, and what do owners and managers need to be planning for or looking at as ways to, be successful in their business today?
I think that the key today is pricing and value. And I think the dilemma is that there was a big run up on price everywhere. And there was a run up on cost. And so price was the reaction to the cost increase. Uh, what I think is interesting is that there was, for most of the industry, um, there has always been price determines occasion. So the very first thing that you're going to do, and you're sitting at home on a Saturday, you're thinking about what you're going to do for dinner, is you're really thinking in terms of price. So are you going to spend 50 a person or 50 and above and go to a Fleming's? Or are you going to go to a PDQ? So where do you want in the restaurant continuum, where do you want to hit? And that was a function of price. Today, the price has become the same almost across QSR, fast casual, and casual, where you can go into Chili's and get a meal that is not a lot different in price than Cava, which is not a lot different in price than, say, Chick-fil-A. So, and I'm not saying any of those are priced wrong. Those are all great companies, but it becomes more of you're looking now for function. Do I want to have a quick meal, and do I want to go through probably a drive-through? Do I want to go and have something that is maybe a little healthier and customizable and fast casual? Or do I want a waiter service and to spend probably 30 to 45 minutes? So that's what you're really choosing. You're not choosing price because price is kind of the same across those three sectors, or could be the same. Now you can get into Chili's and get the baby back ribs, and my thesis is out the window if you did that. But you can
Yeah.
burger and other things at closer to fast casual pricing. And so then you go back and you say, well, how do people make a purchase decision? If you start with the guest and work backwards and you say casual dining, well, if you're going to go to a casual dining restaurant, you're probably going to know 24 hours ahead of time that you're going to go to Outback. If you're going to go to, say, Cava or Sweet Greens, you're going to make that decision generally 1 hour ahead of time. So let's say that those are fast casual is generally a little more lunch than dinner. So you would be around 10:30 to 11. You're going to make your purchase decision. This is interesting. QSR, you make the purchase decision 3 minutes before queuing up.
Oh, wow.
So it's I'm hungry and I need to eat. And that's where QSR has two customers, and then there's one that has both issues. That QSR solves a poverty of income or a poverty of time. So QSR can solve either one of those or both. And that's why, you look at the 16 to 24-year-old, they have no time and no money in general. They will use QSR a lot more frequently than, say, you or me.
Okay.
Because we probably have more time at this point in our life.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's interesting. And do you think it sounds like you're talking a little bit about some price compression, I guess. Well, not compression by that, I don't mean decreasing prices, but because of some of the inflationary things we've seen, a lot of the pricing has ended up essentially in the same place, except for your table service high-end restaurants.
It has. Yeah, that it's just that pricing, and I'm watching McDonald's and I know what we're doing coming up, and that I think that that people are becoming more value conscious, and perhaps QSR will once again be viewed as hopefully not the low quality, but the low cost alternative. Because there's been huge advancements in QSR, and it's not like Chick-fil-A's food's not good. I mean, I've had some very good things there, and I've had some very good things at Raising Cane's. I not to mention In-N-Out Burger and a lot of those guys, and we're all in QSR. However, that the pricing has run up so much that the choice from a price perspective could be one of Cava's lower end bowls, or go to, say, for instance, Chick-fil-A or PDQ.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's very interesting, and I think that's a great place, Kep, for us to wrap up this session. It's been a great discussion. We'll wrap here for now and save the rest of the conversation for later and pick up some more of what we were talking about. For our listeners, you can learn more about PDQ at eatpdq.com. Please tune back in for part 2 of our podcast, where we'll dive into tipping etiquette, distressed restaurant trends, and even Kep's thoughts on AI in the restaurant space. As always, thanks for joining us on the Instant Payments Podcast.